What's up, y'all? Chris Faber here with your weekly Blackfish Canucks Army Prospects Report, talking about the week that was for Vancouver Canucks prospects all around the world. We're going to get to some highlights. We're going to get to a lot of things, but I do first want to apologize for last week. Had COVID. I don't know what else to tell you. Missed last week on the show. We want to make this a weekly thing, doing the video format as well as the article. The article can be found over at CanucksArmy.com right now. But hey, let's talk about some prospects and let's get started. Not in Sweden like we normally always do. Instead, we're going to the OHL. Let's kick things off with Josh Bloom, who picked up a big hat trick over the weekend. Here are his 3 goals. Bloom was showing off his speed and ended up scoring the overtime winner to put this one in the books for the North Bay Battalion. A beautiful wrist shot coming down in overtime to finish the game off and win it for his North Bay Battalion. Now, Bloom wasn't the only OHLer who was putting up goals this weekend. In fact, all 3 of the Vancouver Canucks prospects who are playing in the OHL ended up scoring this past week. We got 1 goal from Kirill Kudryavtsev, who recently signed with the Vancouver Canucks. Let's get his video up here. A beautiful end-to-end, coast-to-coast. You love to see it the most. Kirill Kudryavtsev buries one for the Sioux Greyhounds. And the OHL scoring for the Vancouver Canucks prospects didn't stop there. We saw Connor Lockhart get into the action as well. He was very busy. His Peterborough Petes, they ended up having 4 games this past week. And though Lockhart wasn't quite a point per game over those 4 games, he picked up a goal and 2 assists. So here's a look at the snipe from Connor Lockhart. And Lockhart's had a really good run so far this season. He's picked up 26 goals and 50 assists in 63 OHL games up to this point. So we will have to see what happens with Lockhart and potentially landing a contract with the Vancouver Canucks once his OHL season is up. We know that's been a goal of his since basically the time that he was drafted by the Vancouver Canucks, and he's played pretty well. But his size still might be the thing that limits him, as he is still just 5'9". But lot to like about his game, a lot of skill, a lot of effort. There is a much to enjoy when you're watching Connor Lockhart. Now, let's get to Sweden, because that's what everyone's here for. We're talking Vancouver Canucks, so we got to talk about Sweden. Let's kick things off with the guy who has been tearing it up right now in the SHL playoffs with Lucas Forsell, one of our favorites, one of the fastest rising Canucks prospects, really looking like a top 5 prospect for the Vancouver Canucks with his play of late. He buried 2 goals in the opener of the SHL playoffs against Frölunda, and he was able to be the player of the game for Färjestad in their win in the SHL playoff debut. Picked up 2 goals, 1 assist. He was all over the score sheet as he was battling against fellow Canucks prospect and childhood friend Philip Johansson, who also ended up playing a good amount of minutes in those games. He had 17 minutes in the first game, 22 minutes in the second one, but it was really all about Forsell. I mean, the guy was excellent and doing things the right way, going to the net hard, scoring those goals in the dirty areas. It's something that we've been impressed with throughout the year with him, and he's doing it at a high level right now in the SHL. There's no younger player than him playing better than what he's doing right now in the SHL. He is scoring a ridiculous amount of goals. There's a lot to be excited about with Lucas Forsell. The other Swedish player that is in the SHL playoffs right now, Elias Pettersson, DPD. He was on the 3rd pairing to start the SHL playoffs. His first game was like that. Second game, he ends up getting demoted to the 7th defenseman, so he only ended up playing 4 minutes total in his second SHL playoff game. Now let's get into the AHL, because we have a lot to get to in the AHL. First things first, let's start with Artur Silovs, who was absolutely excellent in his most recent game. The Abbotsford Canucks only ended up having 2 games this past week, and Silovs, in his 1 game that he did start, he made 42 saves on 44 shots and was excellent in a 5-2 win for the Abbotsford Canucks. Now let's get to some of the scoring. We'll start with Danila Klimovich, who ripped one, finally breaking his goalless streak. He went 9 games without a point in the AHL, but as you can see on this goal, it was an absolute rip of a wrist shot as he buries this one in, and it's just another great play from Danila Klimovich, who, though he was cold for a little bit, we weren't too worried because it felt like the process was there, and I think that's the big thing that people want to see from Danila Klimovich is just have that good process in your own zone, learn the game, be able to, get that great shot off when the opportunity presents itself, but mainly work on the 200-foot game, work on things in the defensive zone, work on making smart decisions with the puck as you're exiting your own zone and heading into the neutral zone. Those things we haven't been too worried about of late, so that's been exciting, even though he hasn't been putting up a lot of goals. Another player to spend a little bit of time on, Arshdeep Bains. The rookie down there in the AHL has been looking excellent of late, scoring goals while shorthanded, setting up goals as he always does, it feels like this season. Here's him setting up a goal from Linus Karlsson. Just a beautiful pass from Arshdeep Bains to get it across to Linus, who just taps it into the back of the net. And that was a great pass, but you have got to see this goal from Arshdeep Bains. A shorthanded effort here as he comes, breaks up the puck on his own, chases it down, uses some speed, and buries it short-handed. So he's been playing great hockey of late. We had a good chat with him, which you can find over here on the YouTube page. Arshdeep Bains joined us for about 13 minutes. Good chat about the season, some stuff about the Sedins, some stuff about adjusting to the AHL. Overall, good stuff. We can see the NHL in this kid's future. That is for sure. A guy that we don't know about his NHL future is Jet Wu. But man, has this guy been playing good hockey of late, playing very physical, and he's been throwing the body around way more often over the past few months. We've been saying it for a little while here now. I do think that Jet Wu has been playing his best hockey of his pro career, and I don't think there's much of a question about that. The last 4 months, he's been put into a role where he's been consistently playing high minutes in the AHL, getting some opportunity on not only the penalty kill, but the power play as well, and he showed off his hands a little bit. He actually kicked off the shootout the other day for the Abbotsford Canucks and buried it, and then just a couple of games later, he ends up getting an opportunity to come in on a breakaway because of a good play in his own zone, and he made no mistake on that one as well. Couple other little tidbits to get you in on here. Yanni Yermo, it doesn't look like he'll be coming over to North America this season. Still battling a little bit of a small injury, but it sounds like the fact that he's not signed here by the Vancouver Canucks, he could have came here and joined the AHL team for a playoff run. That obviously has not happened, so it looks like he'll be back in Finland for another season. Maybe we can see him at the end of next year join the AHL team for a playoff run. Hey, maybe Atu Ratu's still down there in the AHL. Couple of former teammates getting back together here in North America. And finally, we did see video of Jonathan Lecaire-Mackey celebrating a little bit of a win with his team Djurgårdens as they are in the Allsvenskan playoffs. Couldn't really tell much of the video, but it's good to see that he is around the team again. The latest we have on Lecaire-Mackey, we talked to him. He said the recovery has been going good, and he's been in the gym a lot. There was a projection for 8 weeks. That was told to us on February 7th when Djurgården announced the injury. So it's, I mean, the timeline kind of lines up. Maybe we'll see Lecaire-Mackey for a playoff game, but I'm going to doubt that that's actually going to happen. So we'll wrap things up there for our weekly Blackfish Canucks Army Prospect Report. I think we need a shorter name because that is a lot to get out there. But we come here every week on Tuesday to give you an update on what happened in the week that was for Vancouver Canucks prospects. So we'll wrap things up there for Canucks Army. My name is Chris Faber, and thank you for checking out another Blackfish Canucks Army Prospects Report.